motivate.
Hi, friends. Host Erik here, host Talking with Famous People, and we just watched the first 5 minutes of Erik Thor's How to Become a Sensor and Develop Your Sensing video. And we're going to respond to what we watched. We each watched it independently. We haven't talked about it at all yet. So let me start by saying uh, anything stand out to you, Audra?
Go ahead and start, and then I'll have some comments.
Okay. Well, I took notes.
Say something.
I took notes,
Edit
and I will go down basically the flow of the first 5 minutes. He talked first about the intuitive's bias against sensing and sensors. He talked about the fact that sensors tend to be actually less overwhelmed by their environments than are intuitives. He talked about how intuitives yump between data points. They yump between point and point, yumping and yumping they go. And then
They're always
That's a yuppie.
Then he talked about shallowness, that we tend to refer to them as, we intuitive tend to think of sensors as shallow and prone to generalization, prone to prejudice. Then he talked about sensors' predictability of practical things. Like you can be, they make sure it's useful. We talk about things in terms of shoulds or oughts or possibles or uncertainties in general. Basically, it's talking about a distinction between the ambiguity tolerance in the intuitive and lack of ambiguity tolerance in the sensor. Then he says, and we don't really talk about this. And then he does an FE shift when he realizes that he's not done enough ball cupping for the intuitives, and he does this long talk about how great intuitives are before he probably right around 5 minutes shifts back to the developing the sensing topic. So that's my flow of what happened there. It was interesting to see INFJ at work note in his head, oh shit, I better pad the intuitives a bit and do his thing, you know? And how frustrating it must be for them that we see right through that shit.
I like how he, was pandering to the intuitives by calling them death prone.
Death prone? Is that what he said? I didn't catch that.
He didn't say those words. I was summarizing. I was making a leap there. Yeah, he alluded to the idea that maybe that's why there weren't as many intuitives.
Oh, I see. Okay.
I think that's only appealing to like you and me and Ace.
Yeah, I was gonna say I found it okay, but I'm like, I don't know that everybody would go for that.
I think that his critique of sensor bias is exactly going on, and it's okay with its own inconsistency.
I mean, he makes careful attempt to parse out that the bad things he's saying are examples of unhealthy blah, but healthy blah doesn't do the bad things. That's a bit of a rhetorical cul-de-sac.
I've got a bone to pick with the whole use of healthy and unhealthy to describe things that we do or don't like in people's behavior. But I'll save that for maybe.
Yeah, well, we can make a different video on that. Make a different video on that for sure. But okay, so one thing he pointed out is that we tend to. I agree with Taylor that a lot of elements of it are pretty on point. He says like that we tend to view them as less, as not particularly as deep or something. And I think that's a fair critique. I think they have their own depth that's a little bit different. I think the reason intuitives tend to view sensors as less deep is because intuitives generally understand what's going on most planes of understanding better than the sensors they're interacting with.
But I think that we're outnumbered, and I think that there's like some reverse racism or whatever, for lack of a better term. How the fuck do I know?
So, Audra, you got that?
What was it again? Oh, I think part of it too might be that intuitives are less likely to consider anything settled, and so they do continue to bring it up and think about it. And this actually, something he said was that sensors were better at, when they did do research or come up with a theory, they were very methodical and empirical. So once they do agree on something, they may or may, maybe they don't. It's the idea that they don't revisit it, so they're not. So it appears shallow to us because they're like, oh, this is verified, so it is. We find that kind of like, no, examine it.
there's a certain element of the if you're fishing in a lake that's only got a few fish, occasionally you catch one. When you catch it, you take very careful care of cleaning it and everything. If you're in a lake where fish are just jumping into your boat all day long, you tend to treat them as just whatever.
I'd like to just point out that everything he described about sensors makes, for all intents and purposes, ENTJs are sensors.
Oh
That's
yeah,
true. Yeah.
yeah, totally. That's
Describe
funny.
sensing as TE.
Um. Anyway, sensors are cool. I like SI sensing a lot. It's good, and I like sensors because they are they're the other half of life experience. You know, it's the key thing. The problem that most intuitives have is they're asked to spend the majority of their time in a sensor world, and what needs to happen is intuitives need to spend a majority of their time in an intuitive world, and then they can appreciate sensors when they're spending time in sensing world.
Also, sensing is important for like shit like exactly what I'm doing now, trying to figure out where the fuck to stand and how to sit because this is too high and my chairs are too low. I'm tired of standing, but I don't have a better solution at hand.
My face is still on the screen, so I'm doing it. That's
I
good
don't feel
enough.
like most that anyone with SE in their function stack would have this problem right now. And I'm good at SC.
Well, I've got an SI problem of equivalent sorts, which is
You've also got an SE problem.
there's cat poop in the house. Now,
It's a
I
fucking milk problem.
I need to clean it up, and I'm going to any minute now. So that's a problem with being an intuitive, and that's a response to Eric Thor's video called "How to Become a Sensor." Good job, Eric Thor. I commend your INFJ FE social management of that thing and when you shifted and all that stuff, and also just the general idea of making a video like that. We're gonna copy it. We're gonna do how to be an intuitive. Okay, talk to you later. Bye.